NBA training camp is finally upon us as team summers are officially over and the players are now back practicing with their teams. Real NBA content is finally back happening daily, as we will actually get to see how much each player has improved in practices competing with their teammates after a summer of working on their games. Pretty soon, the preseason games will be underway, and before you know it, the regular season will be here. So looking ahead into who we think will have the best seasons is no longer unreasonable for the time frame. That brings us to the topic of today's video, where I will be going over my picks for who I believe will win each of the main awards for this upcoming NBA season. That includes MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Most Improved Player, and Sixth Man of the Year. Before I start though, make sure to subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first award winner I will be discussing is Sixth Man of the Year, and for the 2019 season, I believe the winner will be Dennis Schroeder of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Last season, Schroeder was the starting point guard in Atlanta for the Hawks, so he was a pretty good starting point guard too. He was by no means one of the worst starting point guards in the league, and was honestly probably around middle of the pack in that regard. He was also very often tasked with carrying the Hawks team, because they were one of the worst teams in the league with few talented players around him, and he willed out quite a few wins for the team. Because of the amount put on his shoulders, his efficiency suffered, but on a team like the Thunder, he won't have nearly the amount of pressure on him while backing up Russell Westbrook, so his efficiency should take a leap this year. The fact that he is even a backup in the first place is kind of unbelievable, and Thunder fans have good reason to be excited. They can finally trust someone to run the offense when Russell Westbrook needs to rest on the bench, as that has been a major issue each of the last two seasons. Some other players that will be in the running for Sixth Man of the Year will be Lou Williams, who won last year, Eric Gordon, and Terry Rozier, but in the end, my choice for the 2019 Sixth Man of the Year is Dennis Schroeder. The next award that I will be picking the winner for is Most Improved Player of the Year, and my choice to win this award in 2019 is DeJounte Murray of the San Antonio Spurs. Last year, Murray took full advantage of Tony Parker's decline as a result of age and health issues, and about midway through the season, he took over as the team's starting point guard full-time. He made second-team All-Defense last year as well, as the defensive end of the floor is his bread and butter. He's one of the best perimeter defenders already in the NBA, and he's only 22 years old. He still has a ton of room to grow, and has already taken massive strides after 2 seasons in the league. Going into this season, Tony Parker is no longer with the Spurs, so Murray will be fully entrusted to run the Spurs offense from the point guard position. His defense is already great, so where I see him taking the biggest leap in is on the offensive end. While he did start a good amount of games last season, he only played about 22 minutes per game, which isn't even half of an NBA game. Expect his minutes to rise substantially, possibly eclipsing the 30 minutes per game mark. With more time on the floor, I can see his entire offensive production increasing as well. Coach Popovich trusts him, and with more of a green light on offense to attack and be aggressive, I can see his scoring average jump from 8 per game last year to somewhere in the 12 to 15 points per game range this season. He's crafty and quick when attacking the basket, and has such good touch around the rim. He should see an increase in his assists per game numbers as well, with more responsibility at the point guard position. He averaged only 2.9 last year, but this season I can see him getting around 5 per game in a balanced Spurs offense. Josh Richardson and Markelle Fultz are 2 other names that will be in the running for the award this season, but overall, my selection is DeJounte Murray. The next award that I will be picking a winner for is Coach of the Year, and my selection is not bold, crazy, or anything like that. It's quite an obvious selection actually, but for good reason. My pick is Greg Popovich, coach of the San Antonio Spurs. Coach Pop has earned his reputation as the best coach in the NBA for a reason, as he turned the Spurs into legitimate title contenders for just about 20 years now. Last year, the whole Kawhi Leonard situation caused a setback in the Spurs' run of success, as they got eliminated in the first round. Now having traded for DeMar DeRozan in return for Kawhi Leonard, they can fully focus on playing basketball without any off-court distractions. After losing Leonard though, there are a lot of doubters regarding how good they think the Spurs will do this season, and it has become quite a popular notion to believe that they are destined to miss the playoffs this year in a loaded Western Conference. However, under Pop's guidance, I firmly believe that they will keep their playoff streak going, and because of this, I see Pop winning Coach of the Year. Some other candidates that will be in the running for this award include Boston Celtics coach Brad Stevens, Utah Jazz coach Quinn Snyder, and Philadelphia 76ers coach Brett Brown. But in the end, my choice is Greg Popovich. The next award up for selection is Defensive Player of the Year, and my choice to win the award in the 2019 season is the player that came runner-up in the 2018 race, being Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. From the very beginning of Embiid's career, he has been an absolute force on the defensive end of the floor, elevating the level of play on that end for his entire team, no matter who has been around him as teammates. His rookie season, his defensive rating was 7th best in the league, which is wild considering that the Sixers as a team were only the 17th best team in the league on defense. That shows that Embiid's elevating his level of play on the defensive end for the team around him no matter who he's playing with alongside him, because he protects the rim so well. This past season, he was once again top 10 in defensive rating, and his net rating was top 5 in the NBA as well. That, along with his health not being as big of an issue during the season, contributed to the Sixers becoming the 3rd best defense in the league last season. One last stat that shows me that Embiid's defensive prowess has DPOY potential is that he made players shoot 12.3% worse at the rim, which led the league out of all of those that qualified. Combine all of that with the fact that this offseason has been the first offseason in which Embiid is fully healthy and could spend the entire time working on his game and conditioning to get even better, and Embiid could be due to make a major step forward on both ends of the floor this year. Some other candidates for this award that will be in the running will include Rudy Gobert, who won the award last year, Draymond Green, and Kawhi Leonard, but in the end, my choice is Joel Embiid. The next award we'll discuss is Rookie of the Year, and my selection for the winner of this award in 2019 is Kevin Knox of the New York Knicks. Knox was pretty slept on as a prospect going into the 2018 draft, and was projected as a late lottery pick for most of the pre-draft process. As the draft got closer and closer, however, his stock started to rise, but only slightly, as he would wind up being selected 9th overall by the New York Knicks. The real hype around Knox began during Summer League, where he absolutely showed out and looked dominant at times. His offensive game is explosive, showing that he attacks the rim hard and explodes to the rim for powerful dunks no matter who is in his way. He has great size for a small forward, standing at 6'9", and his handles are also one of his best assets on offense. He creates shots off the dribble and knocks down pull-up jumpers well for someone so young. Speaking of his youth, he was one of the youngest players in the entire draft this year, and will only be 19 years old for the entirety of this season. His potential as an offensive force is sky high, and with Kristaps Porzingis out for the majority of the season because of a torn ACL, Knox will get plenty of opportunities to show what he's got in his game this year. The Knicks may not be a very good team this season, but Knox will more than likely have some big numbers. Other candidates that will be in the running for this award include DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic, Marvin Bagley, and Trae Young, but ultimately, my choice is Kevin Knox. Last, but certainly not least, we will now be discussing my selection for the league's biggest award, the MVP. Last year, James Harden finally got this award that he had become so close to winning quite a few times in the past, and once again this year, I predict that James Harden will go back-to-back and win the award again. Yes, there are a ton of players that will have outstanding seasons, and the voting will be close, but there are a few things that lead me to believe Harden isn't about to let up like some seem to think. For one, I still view the Rockets as a top 2 team in the Western Conference quite confidently, and whether or not the Warriors coast during the regular season like they did last year, the Rockets will either be the 1 or 2 seed. Second, Harden won scoring title last season, and this year he will absolutely still be at the very least in the top 3 in scoring again. His averages of 30 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds are absolutely ridiculous to average over an entire season, and when you put a line like that on a top 2 seed in a competitive Western Conference, it creates the perfect balance of individual production and team success that MVP voters always value so highly. LeBron James and Anthony Davis have been favored by many throughout the offseason to win MVP this year, and they are favorites in Vegas as well, but I just simply don't think either of them will lead their teams to enough wins to seriously beat Harden out. Historically, unless you are Russell Westbrook averaging the first triple-double in a season since the Big O, you have to be on a top 3 seed in your conference with an awesome stat line to win MVP. Neither LeBron or AD, in my opinion, will be on a top 3 seed in the West, which hurts their case. Kawhi Leonard is returning from injury, and his Raptors will likely be top 3 in the East, but I'm hesitant to give him the nod because of his reported lack of interest in being in Toronto. He should still have a tremendous year, but not necessarily MVP worthy. Kyrie Irving is the best player on the Celtics, who are favored to top the East, but the Celtics are so well balanced that I really don't see him putting up big enough individual numbers to legitimately beat out the other guys that I mentioned for MVP. And on that note, that concludes my predictions. Like this video if you agree with some of my choices, subscribe to the channel for more content coming soon, and comment down below who you believe will win some of the awards and why you disagreed with me. On that note, I'll see you all next video.